Oh, I do love the roars that signal that it's time for us to get together for the Africam show. Hi, everyone. How are you? I hope that you're well. We're starting off here at Oldonyo. Oh, with a beautiful giraffe. Now, remember that we're live and interactive, so you can send your questions and comments like you usually do. I'd love to know how you're enjoying the show. I've been having some really awesome conversations with so many of you. And what I love most about the Africam show, any of the shows that we do actually here at Africam, is that it gives me a little bit of an escape, a little movement away from the regular day, and an opportunity to stare at my screen that's very, very fulfilling, but to spend time in the bush. If you're new to the Africam community, maybe you're starting off the new year by jumping straight into the African bush, please let us know and send us a hello so we can welcome you to our wonderful community. This is where we go around the different cams that you may already visit and have access to and watch on the daily. But this time you get to do so with a guide, which is me. And I can answer or try to answer all your burning questions. I'm in awe at the moment just because of how green everything is. Oh, I can hear the guinea fowl. There's a bit of a breeze. I thought there might be some baboons on the tops of the trees in the distance there, but it's just the breeze. I think Oldonyo, I mean, we all know Oldonyo is a fan favorite, but for me, I especially love it because of the sounds. Now, those guinea fowl are alarm calling, and it's not the most reliable alarm call in the world, I must tell you. I often ignore it, if I'm being honest, unless, of course, I know that there's a predator that I've just lost in a block. Then I pay special attention to guinea fowl alarm calls. But for a vulnerable animal like a giraffe at a waterhole, he's definitely going to pay attention to them, even if it's brief. Mr. H, UAE 87, you say today you have cheesecake. Why am I not surprised? You have the best sweet treats. And April Owl, you say, good morning, everyone, from a sunny Connecticut. Of course, you've got your cherry iced tea by your side, and you're happy to be here. Well, I'm happy that you're here. Bowl of Kittens, you say, hello, everyone. And hello, Trishala. You just made it with some raspberry kombucha. I am a big fan of the booch. I must tell you, I love the tartness. Jan Powers, hi Jan. Jan says, hi all, you're here with your chai tea latte. Oh, very fancy this morning. And hi to me. Thank you very much, Jan. I'm so happy to hear that you're joining us this afternoon. And I'm a bit of a fan of the chai myself. Dear NC, you say good morning from a foggy Seattle. You're ready for the show with your hot coffee. And Kauru, you and your snacks, Kauru. You keep it simple. It's very, when I see your snacks, I think simple, dignified. Got some milk and a peanut butter spoon again. Casper's third ghost, you say hello, Trish, and all from a frozen Milwaukee. You've got hot coffee and a hot water bottle. That sounds like a brilliant, brilliant combination. In fact, that's my winter in the bush combination myself, especially early in the morning in the winter. It can get really, really cold. I'm sorry if you can hear the dogs. I'm currently staying with 5 dogs. They've formed a little pack, which is utterly adorable. But they fight with each other sometimes, and there's one puppy as well. So I'm basically, and couple that with the opportunity to take this little bit of a window into the African bush. I mean, I'll take it. Whatever comes along in the cans, I have those wild animals plus the five dogs to keep me company. Zygote, namaste to you too, Zygote. Thank you for joining us. Now, at this camp, one of the things that I really look forward to is seeing the elephants because we know them so well. I haven't seen one ton in a while. I wonder if anyone has an update for me. When was the last time you saw him? And also his friend with the half ear. This giraffe is very weary. Well, maybe by the time we come back to him, he might decide to tip his head down and have a drink. But at Tao, there's a really lovely elephant. So let's go over and say hello. There we go. Oh, look at you. Goodness me. Tao, it is just crazy. If you saw Tao during the dry season, you would never have imagined that this was what it could look like in the wet season. Never could imagine that all this energy is just waiting, whether it's wrapped up in buds or beneath the surface, beneath the ground, whether it's wrapped up in the leaves. There's all this potential energy that's just waiting for the right set of circumstances to just burst forth and color this entire landscape. I think it's just wonderful. And what I really like about Madikwe Game Reserve, which is where Tao is that there's different colored soils in different areas that you go to. Mostly it's red soil, but there's some areas where it's a little bit more granitic, so it's um, just like plain old brown soil. And then up here in Tao, it kind of looks like cement. It's very pale. And with the elephants, because they're constantly dust bathing, mud bathing, they kind of carry that color on them. And so on the back legs there, you can see there's a little bit of red, but then clearly on a lot of the body, there's the white sand that we see here, or the pale sand. So it's almost as if this elephant is giving us a bit of a map of where he's been. Maybe he was in the southeastern section where it's really red, and then he moved up towards Tao, which is kind of like in the north. And then he popped some of that nice pale soil in him up here, telling us where he's been, which I think is just awesome. And now he's doing exactly what I expect most elephants to be doing at this time. So much good, green, juicy grass around. Bob from Kalamazoo, you say good day to Shala from a very cold and snowy Kalamazoo. It's minus 10 degrees Celsius. Whew. Yeah, I probably won't survive. One time here in Joburg, it was -1 in the morning. Bob, if I could tell you, I had never felt such cold. Even when even when there's been or I've been in places where it's snowing, I was prepared for that. But -1 in Joburg, I was not prepared to be waking up to that. So all my warmth sent your way, Bob, and any of you that are in the negatives. Jean Gale, you say good morning from Seattle, dark before sunrise, but that's the best. But you're cozy with your coffee and Africam. That sounds fantastic. Maybe even a hot water bottle. Bring on all the coziness. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, though, we're not quite thinking about getting cozy just yet. It's still pretty warm. We're still getting good rains, as you can see. Water holes are really filling up. Dams are filling up. Rivers are looking fierce. There's almost not a bit of dried anything left anywhere. All right, let's do a hop, skip, and a jump all the way up to Kenya and head over to Lentore because there is a waterbuck having a Oh, not just one waterbuck, a couple of you, and some olive baboons. I've really been enjoying this camera recently. Now, the thing is that they, waterbuck are very used to being in and around water. They are very vigilant. They just gave you an example of what I was trying to explain. They are very vigilant. They're very used to the water. But when it comes to baboons being around the water, it just becomes unpredictable. And these baboons were fighting yesterday. And I'm assuming it's the same troop because we see them, it's kind of like a resident troop that we see here. And they were getting pretty rough yesterday. And it seems all calm. They're having a drink, but these waterbuck are going to be paying attention to these baboons. And as you can see, those baboons turn them around very quickly. Hi, Andy. Andy, you say good day, everyone. And you're wondering what animal or bird surprised me when I heard them alarm call. One that I didn't expect to be alarm calling. Oh, excuse me. There's no such thing as personal space when it comes to these cameras. Andy, I'm going to have a think. I can actually hear it. Drinking. Could you hear that? Oh, that was so cool. I find it quite interesting that they all came over to this side to drink. Now that screeching that you heard in the background, that was also these baboons, but it sounds like a couple of youngsters. You'll almost never hear big males making that kind of high-pitched squeal. Oh, there we have a really, really, really good view. There we go. Definitely there's still fighting happening. But I was saying here on the left there, we have a really great view of that swollen area underneath the female's tail. Never mind, clearly I'm being told to keep quiet by these baboons, so let's give them a moment. Well, there you go. Did you think you were going to be looked in the face by a baboon this afternoon? We'll be able to figure out what's happening in a moment. Hello. Trainer Matt 51, I think that one was for you. Because Your good morning came in just as these baboons decided to get interested in us. Now, I wonder if you heard that. Amidst all of this kind of these high-pitched sounds, there was a deeper that would have been one of the big males. Doesn't necessarily have to be the alpha male, but the alpha male is a very big individual. Now, what exactly is going on here? It sounds like it might be a really big deal, but if you think about how baboons communicate, they might just be having a little tiff within the troop. But how else are they meant to communicate that they're unhappy or that they didn't like the way somebody looked at them or didn't like the way somebody looked at their friends, because that's the thing? How else can they do that except by using their voice? And especially first. And that's something we see with wild animals. I mean, it's something we see with humans as well. It's not as wild, but we're almost always going to give a warning in the form of a display or in the form of words. Because whether we like it or not, we as humans even prefer to diffuse a situation before there's any kind of injury or violence involved. And the same goes for wild animals. Sometimes we may not even understand fully the types of cues that they're giving each other and the ways that they communicate. But I think that all those vocalizations we were hearing was actually just a result of them figuring something out. Maybe they're figuring out where they're going to go next. Maybe there's a disagreement with where the troops should go next. Oh, that's pretty. Yes, full face and now full butt. Kaoru, you say baboons are scary. They are scary. If you've ever seen the teeth of a baboon, we were lucky enough to have the skull of a baboon and the skull of a leopard. Replica skulls, not actual skulls. And if you look at the size of the teeth, the baboon's teeth are a little bit larger than a leopard's teeth, particularly the canines. And on top of that, when they show it off to you, oh, it's very intimidating. There was one time when I was in Komiki in the Western Cape in Cape Town, and I was sitting outside, and this was my first trip to Cape Town, so I didn't quite understand what the baboon situation was. And I saw them in the distance, and I thought it was really cool. So I go outside on the balcony and I watch them. I take up my binoculars and I watch them, and I sit down on the balcony, looking over at them in the trees, not realizing that there was one already on the house, but out of my sight. And then suddenly, so quickly, this baboon moved and came and sat on the handle, like the armrest of the chair I was sitting on. It was very, very scary. Luckily, when we have more baboons here at Oldonyo, luckily those that baboon didn't. She didn't even look at me actually. A little bit of a side eye, and then I very, very slowly, with my tail between my legs, moved into the house. So over here at El Donyo, we usually see yellow baboons. And the ones we saw earlier were the olive baboons. Now, for me, I still find it quite difficult to tell them apart. Luckily, we know that the baboons that we see at Lentore are the olive baboons, and the baboons that we most often see here at El Donyo are the yellow baboons. Now, you can see that there's a slight difference in their color. But if we don't have the direct comparison, it's difficult to tell. Oh, look at this little baby. Now, I think that the yellow baboon's fur seems less dense, and even the mane around the large males seems shorter and dense. So that might be a nice thing for you to notice if you're trying to tell them apart. Are they looking really bulky? And are they darker and a little more olivey compared to the yellow baboon, which is a little slimmer by way of fur, and to me a little paler with that undertone of yellow. And as you can see, a little quieter. That's not a defining characteristic. You shouldn't use how loud a baboon is to determine which type it is, because they can all get very loud. As you said, bowl of kittens, you say so noisy. Bowl of kittens, you're also letting me know that the latest tag of 1 ton, which is the elephant that I wanted to see here at Aldonio and I was asking you all about, was on the 4th of Jan at night. Oh, that's nice. That was not too long ago. I haven't seen him for months, but I mean, I haven't been watching the cameras consistently either. Mindy, you say some of the lodges you stayed at in Kenya gave you hot water bottles for our room at night and you thought it was funny. I mean, when I first started working in the bush and I started in the summer, well, I started in October of that year, so it was already very, very hot and it was only going to get hotter. And I was not prepared for those chilly, chilly bush nights, and particularly those bush mornings in an open vehicle with that wind chill. It is very, very cold. But luckily, seeing my suffering, some wonderful viewers sent me hand warmers, and then I learned tricks like hot water bottle on your lap and a blanket over. There are many things we will do, many ways in which we will adapt so that we can spend time in nature in its truest, wildest form. Oh, hello, Tiny. Oh, this little one is too cute. In fact, there are very many youngsters in this troop. I might even say infants. Quite a few infants. Now, there's two large males that you can see walking away from us. And have a look at the density of the fur around their necks. I mean, it's pretty dense, but I feel like the olive baboons was a little longer in terms of length of the hair. This feels very much like a very relaxed troop. They've come to the water hole. Shame, poor guinea fowl. They came to the water hole to have a drink and have settled here because they feel safe and they feel like it's a good spot. They can see for quite a while. They've got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 very young baboons. These ones are not quite infants. This one's could be an infant though, the one that just ran across us. You were just out of infant. I'd say it's a toddler. You can just see its tail. And the skinny fowl is daring. As I say, with baboons, you never know what can happen at a waterhole because, especially in this situation, because these youngsters are playful, the adults are relaxed. They could definitely just start following the guinea fowl or jumping on the guinea fowl just for fun. Oh, missing the tip of the tail there. Amber, you say, wow, baboons are much larger and more powerful than you realize. Yeah, I think for me, they are one of the animals that can really strike fear in me in the bush. They're powerful, they're strong, they're intelligent, and they have learned how to adapt to human settlements and humans around them. And a lot of the time in the bush, we rely on the fact that many animals are scared of this upright walking creature. When they see upright walking animals, they associate that with hunting, with groups, because we have evolved alongside these animals for millennia. But baboons, they don't have that anymore. And they're definitely not scared of me. Having a good old time at the waterhole, a nice family picnic. Mindy, you'd like to know if all primates walk on their knuckles? Well, here we see the baboons, which are primates, and they walk with flat hands and feet. You can see their print quite clearly. It's sometimes it can look a little like a leopard print if you um, kind of smudge the one finger and make the palm a little smaller. It can look very much like a leopard print. But you can see, especially the hands, very flat. And usually, when we think about knuckle walking, we think about orangutans and we think about and gorillas. But I learned recently that even pangolins can do it sometimes. It kind of makes sense when you think about their hands and their claws and how when they're walking on their back two legs, they kind of put their hands into little into balls. So they can also sometimes knuckle walk. And of course, chimpanzees and bonobos. So great apes, we definitely see the knuckle walking. But pangolins, I was quite surprised to learn about pangolins occasionally knuckle walking themselves. And now, Mindy, the obvious question is why? And to that, I don't know the answer. So I'll have to do a little bit of research. Have you ever tried knuckle walking? Oh, this is going to sound so ridiculous because it just gives you a window into my life, doesn't it? Have you ever tried knuckle walking yourself? It's interesting. Um, or maybe not specifically knuckle walking, but maybe you've tried, like, if you're exercising and you're gonna do maybe like tricep dips or something like that, when you put your hands behind you on the floor and you lift yourself up and down. You can do that flat palmed, or you can also do it on your knuckles. And I find it so comfortable when I do it on my knuckles. It just feels that somehow there, if we think about it, your knuckles are straight down, right? And so if your arms are extended long and you're putting your weight on the knuckles, it means that from your shoulder all the way to your elbow, to your wrist, to your knuckles is pretty much a straight line. So that whole limb is bearing the weight of your body, not just a specific part. Now, when I use my hands, flat palmed, it feels like all that weight is kind of falling onto my wrists. I'm just theorizing here, based on what I've experienced, but I will have to do some more research in that. But I think it might have to do with either the weight of the animal, the size of the muscles on the shoulders. All of those might be contributing factors in terms of what is most comfortable and what is most energy efficient for great apes. Ooh, there's a zebra at Safari Hook in Namibia. Let's go over and have a look, and then we can always come back to these baboons and impalas and giraffes. Ah, I was too late. Surprise, surprise. I did see that Kirst sent me this message earlier, but I was too busy thinking in my head about knuckle walking. Thanks, Mindy, and what I've experienced myself. But please do tell me if you have knuckle walked or bared your weight on your knuckles and how that felt compared to the wrists. Let me know. Oh, there we go. There's the zebra. Hello, zebra. Thank you for sticking around. Oh, hi, Fiverr. You sound so excited. You say good morning from California and then Trishala with an exclamation mark. That is how I would love my name to be, my official name in my identity documents to be Trishala exclamation mark. You say, you miss my face. Where am I? And that you got an espresso machine for Christmas. So you're having a cappuccino and biscotto this morning. Oh, you're so fancy. And cheers, and cheers to you too. Thank you for jumping on board and saying hi. I am in Johannesburg for now, but I'm quite excited that ooh, in 2 weeks I will be heading to Sydney just for a week, uh, and then I will go visit my parents in Melbourne for another week, and then I will be back in South Africa. Kauru, yes, exactly. The wrist is in a different position when using the knuckles. That could be why. Exactly. So I mean, I'm not sure if the wrist is in a different position because the wrist should be in the same position. Kara, you can't see me, but I'm literally not knuckle walking. I'm knuckle air walking. If I put my knuckles straight down alongside my chair, all right, straight line, and then I lift it up and open my hand, there's um there's some flexing going on. So maybe there are tendons that are bearing more weight than they do when the knuckle is closed and straight. Gosh, I love theorizing with all of you. I see that the rest of you are quite quiet. Are you telling me that you haven't been knuckle walking? What are you doing in your spare time then? How has the black mamba been here at Safari Hook? I remember it was living in the trunk of the tree, in the island in the middle. Hi, Springbokkies. Sorry, I was not paying attention to you. Oh, it was a hyena pan. Ah, thank you, Kirst. So I have thoroughly believed that it was here at Safari Hook the whole time. Thankfully, to save me embarrassment, Kirsten quickly sent us back over to old Daniel. Thank you very much for saving my face there, Kirst. We're seeing a variety of different sized behinds. I like how this giraffe is just checked out. I'm turning around and I'm looking in the other direction because that giraffe is not going to drink while the baboons are there. I mean, we saw what it was like when the waterbuck were there at Lentore. All this energetic behavior from the baboons was just too much. Can't concentrate on approaching predators, communication with your own species and your own group. It can be difficult to focus on those things if you're being distracted by energetic baboons. Oh, that was almost the perfect shot, Impala. Its horns almost perfectly framed the giraffe in the back. Now, I'm trying to pay close attention to the youngsters here in the troop because we know, as we said, that baboons are very intelligent and they can form quite complex relationships with one another in the troop. And some of them will even be a little manipulative in the forming of those relationships. Those relationships could be just to curry favor. It could be to put them in a good position for alpha male if and when it opens up. They use relationships to their benefit, particularly in terms of the hierarchy. And one of the things that baboons are known to do is kind of use infants and call them toddlers as shields. And this happens especially amongst the larger males in the troop because the larger males are, are mature, but there's only one alpha male. But that alpha male's position is in constant flux because that position is constantly being vied for. And that means that there can be a lot of fighting between males that are similarly sized, particularly large males that could be alpha males, potential alpha males. And so sometimes what they will do is if there's a large male coming towards them, they might use an infant or a toddler as a shield, especially if it's the alpha male coming for them. Because remember, as far as the alpha male is concerned, he's the one all these females have been mating with, so these should be his offspring. Now that's not always the case because females might mate with other males as well, but he would have at least mated with her. So in his mind, he thinks, oh, this female I mated with has given birth, therefore I must be the father. And this is a good strategy that we see across the animal kingdom. We see it with leopards. We see it with lions, kind of confusing paternity so that all the males in the area think that the child is theirs or the offspring is theirs. And that means that they will not harm it. So using an infant as a shield seems really manipulative. And it's something that we see with baboons. And I think it tells us a lot about their intelligence because there's some kind of forethought involved in how they protect themselves, whether it's in the forming of those relationships, using infants. I think it says a lot about their their intelligence. Vincent, you say you usually walk on your feet. Well, I think you're the odd one out then. I try my best to walk on my feet. Most of the time it works out, but occasionally I try the knuckle walk. I'm kidding, of course. I usually walk on my feet. Surprise, surprise. But when I first started learning how to track and identify tracks in the sand, I did a really, really amazing exercise. It seems so simple, but it really helped me to understand and to figure out what animal I was looking at. And remember, this was a time when I wasn't able to just look at a track and know whose track it was. And so we were looking at the smaller things, tortoises, terrapins, birds, a couple insects. We were looking at that and some reptiles. And I couldn't figure out what it was I was looking at. So the guy that was helping me told me to go down on the ground and try to make that type of track. How would you move to make that type of track? And I figured it out. And I was looking at a leopard tortoise track. But by moving my own limbs to try and simulate what could have made that track, it helped so, so much. Just a little tidbit there. I, Vincent, I'm blaming you. You took me off in this direction. Ah, Zygote, that's really interesting. You say there's a good documentary about Dalada baboons and Hamadryad baboons showing this social ranking and other trends about kidnapping for babies for defense and things like that. Yes, it is. It really is fascinating. And I think one of the it's difficult to even articulate what it is, but with and you don't know if which comes first, right? But with the higher intelligence, you I feel that with the complexities you get more manipulation because still your number one priority is survival, and survival depends on how much you can eat, whether you can protect yourself, and whether you, for territorial animals, can keep a territory. So those crucial things never change. You're always going to need to feed yourself, and you're always going to need to protect yourself because if that doesn't happen, you're dead. And those things are still the most important things to the baboons. But now you're quite intelligent. So the way that you achieve that survival success changes. And I think what also plays, or also I guess is thrown in the mix, again, I don't know which comes first, but the constant flux of the leader, of the alpha male, the most dominant individual. The fact that that position is not inherited, it can't just be relied on that you're born into this position, but it can be fought for.